From the tallest road in North America, Mount Evans, Colorado. Welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show, brought to you by Wiggle.
This week, we're talking cycling trends that suck. Which ones do we wish would just go away?
Yeah, it's not all doom and gloom this week though. We've got some more fantastic inspirational photos and videos for you, and we're going to check back in with Opie as he tries to go pro again with the Zwift Academy. This week in the world of cycling, we learnt that whilst the weather at the Vuelta might have been pretty bad at times, never got quite this bad.
No, these were juniors at the Volta al Penedès race in Catalonia earlier in the summer. During a team time trial, looked pretty grim, and then boom! Oh!
I mean, we shouldn't laugh, but should we watch it again? We also learnt this week that some car drivers absolutely detest cyclists.
That was the Burgos BH team car, giving their own rider, Angel Madrasso, a slightly unwanted push and nearly taking him and Jose Herrera out of the Vuelta.
Yeah, and they would have breathed a sigh of relief in that car, wouldn't they? Because not only did they not actually take him out, he went on to win the stage, didn't he? Speaking of which, actually, we also learnt this week that winning a stage at the Vuelta can net you a PS4.
Yeah, for older viewers, that's a PlayStation 4. For even older viewers, that's a computer games console. Anyway, Madrasso apparently had always wanted a PS4 so he could play FIFA, computer game about football, with his son, but his wife had refused him permission, so he's hoping that this stage win would actually be enough to grant him permission. But he didn't need to wait, because actually the race organisers bought one for him and gave it to him as a gift at the start of stage 8.
And doesn't he look happy and content with that on the start line there, doesn't he?
Play computer games.
Certainly a little bit more happy than the man who's normally the happiest man in pro cycling, Esteban Chaves, did the following stage.
Yeah, poor guy had to take a bike from a teammate during a critical part of the race, and unfortunately for him, that teammate was Damien Housen, who happens to be almost literally a foot taller than him.
Yeah, comedy moment that, wasn't it? It is funny how things work out though, isn't it? Because Chris Froome was stuck without a bike, famously on Mont Ventoux a few years back, and decided to start running, for which he got ridiculed. Esteban Chaves gets caught without a bike at the Vuelta, gets on one about 5 sizes too big, and it just looks sort of endearing, really.
It does. Smart move from Chavez, that. Right, now, you might have seen over on our sister channel, GMBN, they did a cracking video recently about mountain bike trends that suck. So we thought
I thought that when I saw the thumbnail. It's mountain bike trends that stuck.
Okay. Well, anyway, over here on GCN, we thought we would do a video on trends that suck.
I didn't realise you were relating this story to the one over on GMBN.
Oh, yeah?
But anyway, yes, we are. And we are going to start with pesky bloody kids. What on earth is going on with them in the world of pro road cycling this year? You've got Remco Evenepoel, who's winning races like the Clásica San Sebastian, amongst other big ones, at the age of 19. You've then got Tadej Pogačar, who's just won a stage of the Vuelta a España at the age of 20, amongst other big races this year. And then you've got Egan Bernal winning the biggest race of them all at 21, the Tour de France. I mean, the worst thing about all of this is that I'm not even middle-aged yet, and yet I'm starting to feel old watching them race.
I think maybe you are middle-aged, Dan.
I don't think I am. Not technically on Wikipedia. 6 years to go.
Can someone change Lloydie's Wikipedia profile to
No.
say middle-aged, please? No. To be fair, you can console yourself with the fact that only one of them is old enough to drink beer in the United States.
That's true, yeah.
So you definitely got one over them there. But actually, I really like seeing young whippersnappers showing veterans how it's done.
But just using the term young whippersnappers makes you sound old.
Well, yeah, fair enough. But I can take your point as well, that actually being made to feel like you're over the hill before you've even hit your 30s is a little bit demoralising. I never thought I'd say this, but thank goodness for Davide Rebellin. Still going at 48.
I have to admit, I never thought I'd hear you say that about Davide Rebellin either. But I do take your point, because he does seem to have discovered the fount of eternal youth.
Well, maybe it is the injections.
Botox. Yeah, thought that's what you meant. Anyway, if we're both going to agree then that junior riders that have just turned senior and start winning the biggest races in the world sucks,
yes.
I would like to actually throw a bit of a curveball now into this discussion in the form of handlebar bags.
Talented whippersnappers, handlebar bags. How exactly are they linked?
Because, Si, they both suck. Bear with me on this one for a moment. First of all, I am definitely not being a snob about how you look with a handlebar bag on the front. And I will admit also that if you're into bike packing, they do make a very good use of space. I just can't figure out why anyone would choose a handlebar bag as their only bag on a bike.
What's wrong with them?
Loads of stuff. Firstly, you can't even access them as you're riding along. You've got to stop to get anything out of one of them.
True.
Secondly, they make your steering feel sort of laboured and heavy.
True.
Thirdly, with some models, you can't even hold your handlebars in all of the different positions that you should be able to access. And in all honesty, although I'm not that concerned about being fully aero these days, I don't want to make cycling any harder for myself than it needs to be. So the thought of putting in effect an air brake on the front of your bars just to look cool, well, that sucks, basically.
Yeah, that's a fairly solid argument, Dan. I'm not sure anyone's going to be debating you in the comments. I think some people might actually, though, point out that aero is a trend that sucks.
Possibly.
Isn't it? I mean, no one, I think, is going to argue with the fact that there is a benefit to being more aerodynamic, but there's a cost attached, isn't there? And that's the problem.
It is. I mean, I do think that air on a budget can be a theme, but I will also admit it's quite often easy to throw cash at that problem, isn't it? I mean, how many press releases are we going to receive, you think, over the next year, which claim that a product that's probably going to cost you about $2,000 will save you 1 second over the course of 40 kilometres if the wind's coming from the perfect direction?
Well, yes. Maybe we've got to a point now where we've kind of reached the pinnacle of aerodynamics, at least under current UCI rules. And yeah, I mean, you do just kind of have to spend a bit of cash though, I think, don't you? It reminds me of a tweet I saw from prominent UK time trialist Michael Hutchinson at the weekend, where he said he was chatting to the parent of a junior, again, at the start line of the national 10-mile TT champs, and he said that the budget for his son's racing was £20,000 a year.
20 grand?
20 grand!
Well, that's going to be another cycling trend that sucks, surely. At what point did it become normal to spend as much on your top-end bike as you would spend on a really quite decent car?
Well, I think that's been around for a while, mate. In fact, I've literally only just passed the threshold of having a car that's worth more than one of my bikes.
That might be partly down to the fact you spent £1 grand on a Ford Focus Estate.
That was a cracking little car,
He
mate.
was so happy with that car, he was.
The boot was capacious. Anyway, back to aero, shall we? Because I've got to say, I love the feel of a fast bike. And I like wearing fast clothing as well, because I like trying to go fast on bikes. I also like the feeling that you've got a constant tailwind. I mean, that's just great, isn't it? But there is a point at which I have to draw the line and say enough is enough.
Go on.
Narrow handlebars. I appreciate them more aerodynamic, but I'm not going to go narrower than 42 centimetres. Well, actually, technically 41, because that's what comes on the Canyon Aero, and I like that. But no narrower than that, please. Compromises your handling, looks a little bit dorky, even though aesthetics are a personal thing. Ollie thinks they're cool as mustard, but you know.
Well, he might do, but whatever handlebars Ollie was using, he wouldn't look cool as mustard, would he? But I'm going to disagree a little bit on this. I think actually Ollie would never go anywhere near these bars that are used in competition by Jan Willem van Schip. Look at those beauties.
I hope not, you'd be out of here.
I
quicker than you can say Willem van Schip.
I wouldn't either, but I do disagree on this because I quite like my narrow handlebars. I'm a centimetre narrower than your most narrow handlebars at 40 centimetres. And I also like my slammed position on the stem, etc. too. I'm just more comfortable like this. There's been a couple of times recently where I borrowed a bike and it's had really wide, like 46s on, so I'm right out like this, and there's been loads of spaces underneath the stem, and that, quite frankly, felt horrible.
So what we're saying is that narrow handlebars are a trend that sucks, and wide handlebars are also a trend that sucks. And so there's basically like this, patch of 4 centimetres in the middle that's acceptable. Well, there you go. You might be glad, though, of those spaces under your stem coming up soon, because the big 4.0 is looming.
Oh, you think I'm going to be less flexible, do you?
Well, I don't know.
Well, I'm not sure about that because I'm still doing my yoga.
Oh, God, do we need to see any more of that? That is not a trend. Get it off our screens.
Right, well, we probably should move quickly on from that.
Yeah.
It's time to ask your opinions there at home. Do you think we've hit the nail on the head of trends that suck in cycling, or are there some other things that really get you back up even more? Let us know down below.
I have a feeling this is going to be the tip of the iceberg, mate.
I think it might be.
I'm looking forward to reading some good old-fashioned rants, and hopefully we'll be able to read some of them out on the show next week. Anyway, moving swiftly on to Chris Opie, our budding young professional, as he embarks on some of his first Zwift Academy sessions. I think he's got Threshold.
Ooh, wonder what his numbers are.
All right, so I just finished my first Zwift Academy session. It was a threshold one, so number one because I'm doing them in order. And I'm not gonna lie, it was a little bit harder than I was expecting. I thought it was gonna be really easy. The numbers look quite low. Like I think the peak was 1 minute at 425 watts, and then the final 10 minutes was 335 watts. And I know that that's something that generally you almost wouldn't, or I almost wouldn't feel, but actually indoors it started to hurt a little bit, started to burn. But I quite enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to doing the next one though.
Next up, it's your weekly GCN Inspiration, which is your opportunity to win one of 3 Wiggle voucher amounts to spend on anything you like over on their online shop. All you do is upload your inspirational photo or video using the uploader, a link to which is in the description below. We will then pick our 3 favourites the following week. The winner will get £100, second place will get 75, and third place will get 50, and that this week goes to...
Sorry, you say an online shop. Just made me think about how middle-aged you sounded. Wiggle is an online shop.
What do you call it?
I don't know, it's probably an accurate description. Anyway, in third place, we've got Bryce with this awesome little video taken with his drone. This is up in the coast of Snowdonia, up in North Wales. He said he was out on a cycling weekend away with my brother and dad over the bank holiday and came across this gorgeous, almost deserted coastal road and couldn't resist the chance for a drone shot. So there we go.
So I wasn't really concentrating on that, I was thinking about online shops. Anyway, well done to you, Bryce. In second place this week is Sean with this photo, which is sent over from Phantom Canyon Road near Canyon City in Colorado. Spending some saddle time with friends and my family in Colorado after, that's what you did, wasn't it?
Steamboat Gravel Race, yeah.
I didn't know what it was short for. Steamboat Gravel Race. Well, that looks truly inspirational, doesn't it? Look at that canyon.
Looks amazing. Oh wow, that is super cool. Yeah, deserved second place there. Isn't it just like a shop these days? Like, I mean, it's
online.
Yeah, but you don't need to say that anymore because everything's online.
Online shops are just shops, and then the high street shops.
The high street shops, yeah, it's just Wiggle, it's just a shop, isn't it?
Yeah. To differentiate between the two, you now have to say high street shops, and the online ones are just shops. There you go. Let us know in the comments.
Well, I don't know, yeah, maybe we can have a poll.
Right, should we name the winner?
Yeah, go on then. The winner this week of our GCN Inspiration is Brian Gartside. This is a fantastic little video shot on the Col de la Machine, which I'd never heard of, mate. I don't think we're mispronouncing it. That's literally what's written.
Well, yes, it might be miswritten, but I don't think it is. We should look it up, go there. It does look spectacular, doesn't it?
Just? So he said, this is the trip he did with his son. We rode Alpe d'Huez, Galibier and all 3 ascents of Mont Ventoux. This ride was not the most difficult, but the most amazingly inspirational and a must ride. So there we go.
Yeah, £100 will be winging its way to you, Brian, and that is thoroughly well deserved. What a brilliant road to ride.
To spend in a shop.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Cycling shorts now, and we're going to start with a little update on the saga of the Velo Life Cafe here in the UK that we reported on a couple of weeks back here in the show.
Yes, for those of you who didn't watch the show or just can't remember it, this was where the local council issued an injunction against the Velo Life Cafe, which prohibits groups of cyclists from starting or stopping their group ride at the cafe, despite the fact that there's plenty of room to do so, although they are allowing cyclists to still make use of the cycling facilities at the cycling cafe.
Bizarre. Anyway, unfortunately, Velo Life are going to have to fight this injunction in the courts, and so they have taken it to crowdfunding in order to try and meet some of their legal costs. And actually, it's been going really well for them. They had a target of £15,000 initially, and they've more than met that. They're up to £19,000 currently, which still seems like a bargain when you consider the price of time trialling these days, Dan.
Yes, very true. Any that they don't use in defending themselves in that court case will go directly to charity, equally split between Cycling UK and Quebecer.
It's a nice touch, I think.
It is, so well done to the Velo Cafe, good luck in fighting your case, and well done to all of you who supported them financially.
Yeah, sticking with crowdfunding, here's another great cause actually. Cyclists from Sierra Leone have been invited by the ASO to compete in the upcoming 10th Tour de Burkina Faso, which is an incredible opportunity for them, but a costly one for them to get to, so they're taking to crowdfunding to try and pay their way there.
They are indeed. What they are asking for is £6,500. That will cover the costs of getting the 6 riders and 3 staff over to the race, around the race, and then back home again. So if any of you would like to help realise some young cyclist dream, we're going to put a link to that crowdfunding page in the description below.
Yeah, fingers crossed that works out. Another African team, actually, is a subject of some rumours on Matzo Velo. So other end of the spectrum, right in the World Tour, Dimension Data are rumoured to be swapping bike sponsors in the off-season, which would be a surprise because BMC have only been with them for a season.
Yeah,
That's
would
quick.
be a surprise. Yeah, no news as to, or no rumours, should I say, as to what Dimension Data will be using next year, or indeed whether BMC will be going to another World Tour squad. And yet more rumours from a bike manufacturing point of view. Apparently, Astana are leaving behind Argon 18, and they'll be using Willia next season. And also, Argon 18 might be going over to Cofidis, who've signed some big name riders recently.
Really? I love this time of year and these completely unfounded rumours. Anyway, there we go. Watch this space. One last bit of racing news. Can we just say, by the way, how good was it to see Pauline Ferrand-Prévot take the win at the World Cross Country Mountain Bike Championships at the weekend? We reported a couple of weeks back about her double iliac artery surgery that she'd had at the beginning of this year, which explains her period of subpar performances over the past couple of seasons. But now, wow, is she back?
Yeah.
She is flying in the minute,
worked,
isn't she?
didn't it, that surgery. Whilst we're at it, we should also say congratulations to Annie Last, who is the sister, actually she's not the sister of Tom Last, is he? Tom Last, I would say, is the brother of Annie Last. She came sixth at the World Championships on Sunday, so well done to her. And in fact, if you'd like more details about those World Cross Country Mountain Bike Championships that took place last week, they are the subject of this week's GMBN podcast, and they've got guest and former cross country mountain bike pro Ollie Beckinsale, friend of Si, in on it too, so well worth a listen.
Good lad, Ollie. In non-racing news now, although actually, come to think of it, someone will probably run a race along there at some point soon. A new long-distance route has opened up here in the UK called the Great North Trail, and it runs from kind of central in the United Kingdom in the Peak District right up to the north coast of Scotland, and it goes through some of the most beautiful terrain that the United Kingdom has to offer.
800 miles long in total too, apparently. And if you decide to ride all or just part of this route, you might have to keep your fingers crossed on the weather side of things, because it can get quite rough, particularly when you get in towards Scotland without being too harsh.
Well, and when you get south as well.
Yeah, but it's not as bad. It's like 6 degrees colder up in Scotland constantly. Anyway, if you do luck out and get sunshine every single day, that is going to be a spectacular ride.
Yeah, one for the bucket list, for sure, isn't it? Right, now changing subject slightly, on something called cycling palsy, which might affect some of you, even if you don't know what it is. So, let me explain first and foremost. It's where you get numbness or tingling in your 4th and 5th fingers, okay? So if that is you, then we need to hear from you.
We would like to hear from you, or rather Anne Crumut would like to hear from you. It was Anne who wrote to us, and he's looking to do some research into cycling palsy, and he wants your help on it. Once he's done the research, it's going to be published in the Dutch Journal of Hand Therapy.
Oh, it's one of my favourites, that, mate.
Yeah, not that kind of hand therapy side. Regardless, in the link, the description below, shall I say, there is a link to a survey with a few short questions. There, you can really help Anne out.
Yeah, well, and also cyclists worldwide, because with the research, he's hoping to then actually be able to help people with their cycling palsy. Right, moving on now to this super cool tweet that I saw. This is from Travis Peterson about Andre Marti, who, this is him, aged 4 years ago, receiving a bike as a result of a charity in Vancouver called Help Make a Dream when he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Anyway, since then, in those last 4 years, he has raised money for that charity, and he's raised a total of $20,000.
Yeah, which is pretty amazing itself, isn't it? However, he had some misfortune recently because unfortunately he had 2 bikes stolen from him, which is terrible news. However, when local good man Alex Campbell found out about this and what he's done for that charity over the last 4 years, he went out and bought him a brand new BMX.
Hey!
I love stories like that.
That's super cool, isn't it? We're going to finish with another heart warmer, actually. This is a video of the oldest person to have worn a yellow jersey at the Tour de France. It's Antonin Rollin, and this is him wearing that yellow jersey, riding his Tour de France race bike from the year 1955, and riding alongside his 8-year-old great-grandson.
That's so cool,
It is
isn't it?
cool, isn't it? Even cooler that he's sticking the half wheel on him.
Yeah, he is.
Good man.
Cycling, bringing generations together.
Yeah. Okay, it's time now for hack/bodge of the week. But before we get on to our normal service, we've got a cheeky little hack/bodge competition, haven't we? Basically, in conjunction with our mates at Tepeak, we're making a video about the ultimate roadside maintenance hacks. And we need you to supply your brilliant hacks and your terrible bodges for it.
Which you can do in the usual manner using the upload, or a link to which is in the description below. And if you happen to get a starring role in this new video, you are going to get your hands on a prize. It comes from Topeak in the form of their Ninja bottle cage system, which is a system where not only can you store your bottle in the cage, there's also room either for a multi-tool or for a pouch that stores your inner tube, or indeed for some CO2 canisters.
Yeah, and when we say you get a starring role, we mean your hack or your bodge, of course. But there we go. Anyway, get your pictures in, get your videos in, and yeah, we'll see what you come up with.
Right then, on to this week's hacks and bodges for the GCN show. Starting this one from Stuart, who wanted to tidy the cables on his bike.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, went searching for some fancy cable binders, those long black spirally ones, or some black shrink wrap. Unfortunately, all this was not available in the size that he wanted, so he went to his local DIY shops. This is what he ended up with. That was made out of some plastic cone binding spines with a 6mm diameter.
I don't think that was at his DIY shop, mate. I think that was at his local stationery shop, because that looks remarkably...
Oh yes, he couldn't get what he wanted at a DIY shop, so he went to a stationery shop.
There we go, that looks like what would hold your A4 pages together.
Yeah, well,
that's a massive bodge,
I was just about to say, that's a bodge from me.
That's like the scratchiest, rattliest cable tidy I've ever seen in my life. Well, sorry, Stuart,
maybe
that's a
he can
massive
get some
bodge.
cling film from another shop to go around the frame so it doesn't scratch it all up, because it looks rather nice, that one. But anyway, bodge.
Right, next up we've got this one from Matthias. He's basically, he's patched his rim tape with a proper inner tube patch. Now, if your rim tape gets damaged, then it basically means you just constantly puncture. And he said this happened just before an amazing ride he was due to do. So he fixed it with his puncture repair kit. And then a piece of tape from his car first aid kit.
I had that with rim tape once, where it didn't quite cover the nipple eyelet, and I got loads of punctured and couldn't figure out why it was.
Well, there you go. You needed to patch it up, mate. That's a hack, that one.
Next up, we have got this from Adnan over in Croatia. When on my vacation, I noticed this wonder. Not sure what the owner wanted to get out of this, except getting himself killed. Whoa, a lot of welding going on there.
That is a looker, isn't it? He's saying it's a little bit like that original Lotus bike that John looked at the other day.
Yeah, really aero.
Yeah, and also with an amazing pivot, presumably, with that second headset just at the junction of his top tube and seat tube where you want it.
Please stop riding that bodge.
That is a definite bodge. Right, next up we've got this from Daz. Location Asda. So that's a UK supermarket chain. He said, he's not sure if this is terrible or a really awful bodge. Can I just say, Danny, you're probably old enough to remember this as well. That's actually a proper thing, that bike. I do remember that. I was sponsored by John White, who designed the Marion full suspension bikes as well.
Definitely had a more expensive bike than a new car, didn't you?
Well, I wasn't old enough to drive.
Oh, was it when you were a youth, was it?
Oh, I was a nipper, yeah.
Did they get much back from their sponsorship?
No.
No, I didn't think so.
A sense of supporting.
Anyway, I love those bikes, so that's a hack, even though it's not been hacked or bodged in any way, shape or form.
They were really, really good, actually, as well. Just not a looker.
The final one this week came in from Dylan, actually via email. Put together a helmet-mounted mirror.
An email?
Yeah, which is like a letter.
We don't normally accept hacks or bodges via email.
So it's a helmet-mounted mirror side that's made of an old hard drive platter for the mirror and a spoke. The thumb screw on the side allows it to pivot out of the way.
Looks a bit like something Frankenstein might have on.
Yeah.
And I feel a bit squeamish having a spoke that close to my eye.
Bodge.
Yeah, that's a bodge. I'm
Dylan.
really sorry. I mean, neatly done, but also don't bolt things to your helmets.
No, not a very good idea. Anyway, if you'd like to get involved for the video we're making or indeed for next week's GCN show, use the uploader down below. And now it's time for Caption Competition, your opportunity to win a GCN Camelback water bottle. We show you a photo, you give us your best caption, and we will pick a winner next week. Last week's photo was from the Bink Bank Tour, I think. This is Filippo Ganna winning a barrel of beer. Somewhat jealous here.
Contain yourself, mate.
Okay. Right, who's won this week, Si?
Well, the winner of the Camelback water bottle, and not unfortunately a keg of beer, is Bike Tribe with this. That much beer will put you in the hospital.
Ineos. I thought that was good.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah, it's
deserved more than 4 likes, that particular caption right there.
Fantastic.
Let us know your address via a Facebook message and we'll get the bottle sent out to you, Bike Tribe. This week's photo is this one of Vincenzo Nibali cooling himself down at the end of a Deutschland Tour stage.
Go on then, mate. You going to start us off?
You ready?
Yep.
Water stage. Water stage. Water. See what I did there? I was really pleased with that.
Yeah. Okay, mate. It's not quite up to the usual standards, is it?
Is it not?
Having a little off day, maybe?
What do you mean?
Never mind.
You mean it's good?
Yeah, all right. Anyway, if you think you can get get involved, do better, and I suggest you probably can, and stick your captions in the comment sections down below.
We are shortly going to let you know what's coming up on the channel over the next 7 days. Before that, we're going to go through a few of our favourite comments from the previous 7. And before that, right now in fact, we are going to answer one of your training related questions. This is your opportunity to win 3 months free subscription to Zwift. All you've got to do is leave a question in the comment section down below with the hashtag #AskGCNTraining.
Yeah, so this week's winning question is Nikita CDGC. And he or she asks, she asked Ollie, actually, so unfortunately you haven't got Ollie to answer this one. I'm currently doing the Zwift Academy. I'm having trouble staying hydrated during my training. Most of the sessions are about an hour long. I use a hydration mix in my water bottle. I always hydrate well after the ride as well. Nothing seems to help. They say their kidneys are screaming after it. So I'm no doctor, but I definitely want to get that one checked out.
Yes.
I don't think I've ever had sore kidneys, but I know the feeling about dehydration when indoor training, because incidentally, you also go on and say you don't have a dedicated fan right now for your indoor training setup. And I'd say that's a must, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I mean, most people do find that they can't perform quite the same on an indoor trainer as they can do outdoors, and much of that does come down to overheating, your core body temperature rising, should I say, even when you've got a fan or two on you. So if you haven't got one, you are going to be sweating buckets, and that is certainly not going to be helping you from a hydration point of view, no matter how much you drink.
That's right. So yeah, invest in a great fan, and why not just invest in 2? If you're going to do proper indoor
Depending on where
racing.
you are, doesn't it? Like I had my garage in the winter when I was doing that 10 weeks of training on the indoor trainer, and it was really cold in there. But despite that, you end up with just your bib shorts on quite quickly.
It was quite a sight, wasn't it, mate?
It was, yeah. Maybe put some of that in now. Regardless, it doesn't. If you're in a warmer environment like indoors where there's heating on, etc., or you just haven't got it quite as cold, you really need to get some very good fans to really perform at your best on an indoor trainer.
Yeah. Anyway, so I hope that helps, and I hope you absolutely smashed that Zwift Academy. I hope you beat Chris actually as well.
Probably will.
Probably, yeah.
Right, I particularly enjoyed this comment from underneath last week's GCN show about me, Si. That was done by Ollie and Hank in front of a live audience. James Tooper, I'm pretty sure Dan is running for the Cervelo rest team.
Hey!
Kind of am at the moment,
yeah. Nice. I see what you did there. Or what's your trying to think? The Cerveza test team.
Cerveza rest team, maybe, yeah.
Right. Underneath the How Titanium bike was made, a voice Endetha said, my yellow card, which is the little card that tells you who's built your moots for you, has my name on it. I'm sending the bike back.
Yeah.
So yeah, please don't worry. No bikes were harmed in the making of that that particular.
Well, still sound advice there, a voice. Underneath garbage to gravel, where Canning's attempted to make a gravel bike out of a garbage bike. Clues in the title, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
This was a bike ride done by Chris on it, wasn't it? And he said on the video, I have had a huge amount of fun, and Ron Byers put, well, there you have it. The best test of all. It really isn't the kilometres per hour, it is smiles per hour.
Yeah. Well, sometimes it's kilometres per hour, isn't it? If we're honest.
Yeah, well, if you're obsessed with aero, but don't use that handlebar bag mount at the front.
That's right.
Also, liked all these comments underneath the look at the Jumbo-Visma team car, because they're all centred about Lasty, who did a little introduction.
He's still
Toby
alive!
Hancock, Lasty, Joel Mabe, he's alive. Ron Byers, who was the new presenter at the beginning, sort of reminds you of somebody who used to be a regular. Bit older, though.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was the only real harsh comment about Lasty on that one, wasn't it?
Basically, yeah. So anyway, cracking video that, by the way, done by our mates over at GCN Espanol. So if you haven't seen it, then make sure you check it out. Speaking of which, Dan,
Yes.
checking out videos, what's coming up?
Well,
on
on Wednesday, we are going to let you know how to hold the wheel, which is so important if you want to get the most out of yourselves out on your bikes in groups and on sportives, etc. On Thursday, we've got our top 5 presenter rides, part 1, basically the favourite rides we've done with GCN over the past few years. And on Friday, Jeremy's back with what we're now terming Dirty Friday, getting your gravel fix, basically.
Well, cyclocross is coming, Dan, isn't it? Basically, it's pretty much like 2 weeks until the first World Cup.
Yeah, it isn't far away in Iowa, is it?
Which is bonkers. On Saturday, we've got a little bit more off-road content for you. I got to check out a full suspension gravel bike. Oh yes, it's a thing. It's the new Niner. So make sure you check that one out. And then also when I was over in the States, I got put through my paces at the Sufferfest High Performance Lab. They were going to send you down, but unfortunately didn't qualify for that just at the moment. So anyway, they lifted the lid on some of the research they're doing into cadence, which is interesting.
Oh, we look forward to seeing that.
Yeah.
Don't forget, on Mondays, the GCN Racing News Show is now over on the GCN Racing YouTube channel. We'll be back in the set for the show this time next week. But speaking of GCN Racing, we've got a load more highlights coming for you. The Vuelta a España every single day worldwide. Starting this coming Saturday, most of the world will be able to access daily highlights of the Tour of Britain. And also this week, we've got the Bulls Ladies Tour featuring the likes of Anna van der Breggen, Annemiek van Vleuten, who's trying to win it for the 3rd consecutive year, as well as Lizzie Deignan. We're going to have highlights of that from Tuesday through to Saturday, and then live at the weekend. So it's going to be a busy old week.
That's bonkers, isn't it? We're getting towards the end of the GCN show now, but quickly got to draw your attention to the fact that the 2019 GCN programme of events drew to a close last week. Hank and Ollie, as you probably saw if you watched the GCN show last week, were out in the Austrian Alps in Saalbach. By all accounts, it was the best GCN event yet, which is a bit annoying. Because
we weren't there.
No, exactly. But although it's not all sweetness and light, mate, we're investigating claims that Ollie took the KOM challenge a little bit seriously.
I heard this, yeah.
Apparently he wore a skin suit.
Yeah, and warmed up on a turbo train and didn't speak to anybody before the start of it.
Exactly.
And still didn't win.
Hey, there we go. But anyway, if you want to get involved for 2020, we're still finalising our plans at the moment, but to be best placed to find out what those plans are, then make sure you head over to gcnevents.co and sign up. Not only will you be the first to know, you also get priority access to booking those events as well, so worth doing.
Good fun, weren't they? Right, also before we finish, we want to give a mention to the GCN Cycling Club. Most of you will be aware of what that is, but for those of you who aren't, basically when you sign up, amongst other benefits, you will get a pair of socks delivered to your door, and they're quality Italian handmade ones as well.
Each and every month?
Great designs. Also, if you're already a member and you'd like to gift a membership to someone else, they are available in 3, 6 and 9 and 12 months packages. Right then, we should finish as ever with Extreme Corner, which this week is something you've already seen, but it's Esteban Chavez sped up with some funny music on a bike that's 5 sizes too big for him.
It's pretty quick, that video, when you speed it up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Doesn't last a very long time. Still, very funny. Right, that is the end of the GCN show.
Yes, don't forget to keep your eye out on GCN Tech, because we're going to be bringing out some Eurobike videos for you very quickly indeed. And in fact, talking of tech, if you haven't already watched the Garbage to Gravel bike with Cannings and Opie, you can find that video just here.